Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? So I've come to the decision who I want the Saints to draft with their first pick in next month's draft. Saints will pick 14 overall, barring a trade to move up, which the Saints are known to do from time to time. But if they do, in fact, stay at number 14, I have decided who I would like the Saints to select. And I won't make you wait any longer. I'll tell you who it is, and then I'll explain why. I want to see the Saints draft Olu Fashanu, the offensive tackle out of Penn State. That's it. That's my pick. That's my dream scenario. And everybody has their dream scenario, and maybe there's something that happens in the draft that'll unfold. Good players can fall. You might move up. Maybe there's a quarterback that they fancy. Maybe there's a really good edge that they see at 14. Maybe they go receiver, tight end, safety. I don't know what they're going to do. But I've settled on Olu Fashanu as the guy that I want the Saints to take with the 14th overall pick. Here's why. I liked him already. And if you've been listening to the show, I have been leaning toward wanting the Saints to go offensive line at 14 for a very specific reason. I understand you drafted Trevor Penning 2 drafts ago, and that's gone belly up. But just because you invested a resource that hasn't panned out doesn't mean you shouldn't invest more resources there, because you got to get it right. Your offensive line is ultimately going to be the key to your offense getting back on track. You have to block for your running game. You've got to keep Derek Carr upright to allow him to function within this offense that Clint Kubiak is going to be calling. So, yes, there's a lot of things you need on the offense. You need to fix your line. I think you need to get younger and more talented at running back. You certainly need another receiver with Mike Thomas being presumably out. You need productive tight ends. You didn't get that out of Foster Moreau or Jawan Johnson this past season. So you got a lot of needs. You got a lot of needs on offense, and there's a lot of ways they can go. But for me, quarterback, the guy that protects the quarterback, the guy that affects the quarterback, that's why quarterback, left tackle, defensive end are the 3 highest paid positions. So if you can get a guy in Fashanu at 14, I'm for it. A couple of things about Olu Fashanu that sort of led me to this point where I'm like, okay, that's my guy. That's who I want to see the Saints take. So I didn't know this, because I'm not a huge Penn State fan. I don't follow their roster a ton. But Fashanu is only 21 years old and has only played in 21 total games. When he went to Penn State, he was a starter in 2021. I started a game in 2021. Then in 2022, was the starter for the first 8 games of the season, suffered an injury against Ohio State, sat the rest of the year. And then this past season, 2023, he started every game at left tackle. Now, the one caveat, the one little asterisk is I don't know what that injury was. And I searched today. Now, I did not go into the deep recesses of Penn State message board and rumors and what it might have been. But as best I could tell, nobody ever came out and said what that injury was that forced him to miss the last 5 games of 2022. However, he came back in 2023 and played the full season. Now, Mel Kiper, post-combine, updated his big board. And Fashanu, just to give you a little background here, Fashanu is a guy that Kiper says would have been a top 10 pick last year had he come out. He would have been a top 10 pick in the draft in 2023 if he had come out, but decided to return to school. By the way, Fashanu gave an interview on why he decided to return to school in 2023, despite being a projected top 10 pick.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different reasons why. Obviously, I want to get my degree and start my master's. And I know the way we ended the season last year with the Rose Bowl victory and that being in the New Year's Six Bowl, I mean, that's awesome. But not only myself, but everyone here right now, we know that we can go much farther than that. So just being on the team again, having another opportunity to go to that spot, like that's, it's a pretty big motivation for wanting to come back.
Okay, so one of the biggest questions everybody has is, will money change a guy? That's every draft pick. We've talked about that for years with Mike Detillier and other draft analysts. When a guy gets paid, will it change them? Olu Fashanu passed on millions a year ago to finish his degree, to start working on his master's, and because he said, we won the Rose Bowl but knew we could do more. A guy that's clearly motivated outside of football, values his education clearly, but still competitively wanted to do more with his teammates, meaning the money didn't affect his decision. There were other factors. So check that box. A guy that's super competitive, wants to win at a high level, values his team, his teammates, all that sort of stuff. Those are all check marks on the personality. When you say, if I'm going to give this guy a lot of money, is it going to change him? Doesn't seem like it with Olu Fashanu. So that's a huge part of that. Guy passed on potentially being a top 10 pick. The other reason now is I think of Fashanu almost in the way of how we talk about Brian Thomas. This may be a good parallel. So a year ago, Fashanu would have been a top 10 pick. This year, he might be the third or fourth or fifth offensive lineman off the board because it's a deep offensive line draft class. Brian Thomas a year ago might have been a top half of round one guy in last year's draft class, but there were no receivers worth taking that high. So you didn't have a receiver come off the board until like 20 or 21, and then you had this run of 4 consecutive receivers come off the board in the 20s. Well, a year ago, Brian Thomas would have been the first receiver taken in the draft. Well, Fashanu a year ago would have been a top 10 pick. This year, maybe he's there for you at 14, and this is the other thing. So going into the combine, Mel Kiper, and Mel Kiper's one guy, again, it's just one person's opinion, but rated Fashanu 9 on his big board, the 9th best player in the draft. Coming out of the combine, where Fashanu had a quad injury, he hurt his right leg, his quad, and missed the rest of the combine. Kiper dropped him to 16. Now, that's not to say that it's one person's opinion, but the point being, maybe as you see these mock drafts, like Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman went and ran a 4.6. Well, in a really deep receiver class that pushed him down. I think that's what you're seeing here. A guy that, 21 years old, the write-up on him is the exciting part is Fashanu is still developing. He started just 21 career games and turned 21 in December. So he just turned 21. Like, he's not going to be 22 until the end of his rookie season in the NFL. So super talented guy, super athletic, prototypical left tackle, doesn't have a long injury history, hasn't played it's not like he played 50 career college games. So you're getting a guy that's only played in 21 career college games, and you're getting a potential franchise left tackle for the next decade and possibly getting him at a bargain at 14 when a year ago it would have cost you a top 10 pick. So I'm sold right now on Olu Fashanu. That's my hope. That is my target, my hope. That if the Saints stay at 14 and Olu Fashanu is on the board, I want that to be the pick. And potentially you're talking about a guy that could be your franchise left tackle for a decade. And what that allows you to do also is move Trevor Penning inside to guard, because that may be how you salvage him. You let him play in a phone booth, be a really aggressive, hand in the dirt, mauler type run blocker. And as the Saints go to sort of this zone running scheme with Clint Kubiak, maybe that starts to benefit Penning and Fashanu next to him. So the left side of your line could grow together for a decade, presumably, or hopefully. So that's where I am. I've made my decision today. I think when you're a team and you have a lot of needs, there's a lot of things that make sense. And that's the Saints. The Saints could use a receiver. They certainly could use help on the offensive line. They could use help at tight end and running back. Like if Brock Bowers is there at 14, great. They need edge rushers. They need a young safety. They have a lot of needs. But if Fashanu's there on the board at 14, the Saints pull the trigger, I'm doing backflips because I think that would be an awesome pick. Olu Fashanu. Officially, my dream scenario for the Saints at 14. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.